You know, every so often a story comes along that just won't fit inside the usual boxes. It's not exactly a crime story, and it's not really a love story either. It's more like a gentle smile from someone who's been around long enough to see life for what it is. Kind, funny, and sometimes a little crooked around the edges. Now, Mr. 880, well, that's one of those stories. See, back in New York City, the kind of New York that still smelled like roasted chestnuts and newspaper ink, the Secret Service had themselves a puzzle. For about 10 years, there'd been funny little dollar bills popping up here and there. They were so poorly made you could spot them across the counter. The kind of bills that looked like George Washington had been painted by a fella with shaky hands and bad lighting, but no one could figure out who was behind it. The big agents, they'd laugh about it over coffee. Oh, that old Mr. 880, they'd say, the one man we can't catch. And then along comes this young fellow, Steve Buchanan, clever, square-jawed, proud of his badge, the kind of man who still believes you can make the world right if you work hard enough. He takes the Mr. 880 case as if it were his personal mountain to climb. And while he's chasing clues, he meets a young lady named Anne Winslow, graceful, good-hearted, the sort of woman who can see straight through a man's pride without ever making him feel small. She translates for the United Nations of all things, but she's got this old neighbor, a retired junk dealer named Skipper Miller, sweet old man, tidy little apartment, worn shoes, twinkle in his eye, and a kindness that makes you feel like you've known him your whole life. Now, Skipper Miller doesn't have much, but what he's got, he shares. Gives a coin to a paper boy now and then, slips a nickel to a kid for candy, always humming to himself like a man who's made peace with the world. But what nobody knows, and not even Miss Winslow, is that this gentle, white-haired man is Mr. 880, the great mystery, the master counterfeiter who's been outsmarting the whole U.S. government for a decade. Not with brilliance, but with simple, homespun innocence. He prints those phony bills on an old press held together with string and hope, just one or two at a time. Never enough to get rich, just enough to buy a can of beans or fix his leaky roof or keep from being a burden to anyone. When Buchanan finally figures it out, well, he's not angry, just quiet. There's something in him that can't quite call this old man a criminal. He's supposed to slap the cuffs on, but instead he stands there, looking at a man who's lived his life the honest way, except for this one small corner he had to bend to keep going. The courtroom scene. Oh, that's something you don't forget. The judge takes one look at Skipper Miller and you can see it in his face. This isn't a trial, it's a farewell to an era. He gives the old man the lightest sentence he can, and when the gavel falls, it sounds more like a blessing than a punishment. And when all's said and done, there's this feeling in the air, like maybe mercy is worth a little more than justice after all. Now, if you'll pardon me a little reflection, here's what I think about Mr. 880. You see, the world's full of big talkers and big takers, folks who think success is measured by the number of zeros in your bank account or the headlines in your honor. But sometimes it's the smallest people who carry the biggest lessons. Skipper Miller wasn't out to cheat anyone. He just wanted to keep his dignity when life tried to take it away. He didn't steal fortunes, he borrowed a little hope. And maybe that's what touched everyone, the idea that goodness can survive even when the rules get bent a little. So, if you ever find yourself judging somebody too quickly, maybe an old man shuffling down the street or a neighbor who can't quite pay his bills, remember old Mr. 880. Remember that sometimes the kindest hearts make the poorest paper money but the richest memories. Because in the end, life isn't measured in dollars, real or fake, it's measured in decency.